Okay, we just now saw a nice question. The question was, how do we pick friends? Do we pick friends who are our types, or do we pick friends and then we become their types? Let us ask a few questions through examples. First question, I meet this girl who speaks French, I also speak French, we start speaking in French and we become friends. See, it is very unlikely that in a place like Chennai, I meet someone who speaks in French, while I also know French. There is some common interest, we become friends. This is called selection. We select friends based on the fact that they are our types, they are just like us. This goes like, you probably know of this quote which goes like this: birds of the same feather flock together, correct? This may not always be true. Let us look at examples and classify these examples into selection or social influence. A good example of social influence is smoking. A good example of selection is a girl example I gave you. When I meet a person, it is known that generally people start smoking because of friends. I meet a friend who is a smoker and he influences me to smoke, I start smoking. Same with drinking too. People do not start drinking because they are alone, rather I mean they do not pick up this habit all by themselves, they generally pick up this habit because of their friends. So example number 1, I meet a French girl, I know French, we start talking, I select her as my friend because we both are similar, and then there is this friend who asks me to try smoking, I try smoking, I pick up the smoking habit. After becoming friends with him, I become like him. This is called social influence. Let me repeat, there is one thing called selection, another thing called social influence. The question that you just now saw was what exactly is in play? Is it selection or social influence? Let us see more examples. What about social status? Do you think I become friends with someone whose social status is higher than mine and my social status rises? Not really. In fact, two people of the same social status, they become friends. This again falls under the selection category. Class topper, if someone is friends with him, he or she is also a class topper. If she is a class topper, if he or she is friends with him, he is also a class topper. This here again selection is in play. Okay. Eating habits, you see a person who goes and eats junk every second day, I probably cannot be friends with him unless I also eat junk, right? Here it is social influence. I do not pick a person who eats junk as my friend, I start developing this habit if I am with friends, with people, with a person who eats junk. Partying, what does it fall under? I am friends with someone who parties a whole lot, I also start partying a whole lot, social influence. Smoking, as I told you, social influence. So we can classify these things into two broad categories, namely social influence and selection. One of the biggest questions is, what amount of friendships have social influence in them and what amount of friendships have selection factor into them? Let us investigate more of this slowly. So we all know that they say love is blind. I do not know how far that is true. I am not even sure if there is any study which says it is true, but for sure parents do not agree with the fact that they would say it better not be blind, love better not be blind. When you fall in love, keep your eyes wide open. And then youngsters definitely agree to this, they say, oh yeah, love is blind, right? But then if you look at psychologists, behavioral economists, evolutionary biologists, they have claimed that there is a lot of selfishness in love, of course. That aside, we probably will not debate more on how people fall in love and what happens in love and things like that, but in friendships, when people make friendships, the dynamics of these friendships seems to be very well understood, at least under the domain of social networks. So we will be observing, we will be investigating, we will be seeing how friendships happen and what exactly is in play when friendships happen. As we discussed just now, is it social influence or selection, or both? If it is both, what amount of it has social influence part, what amount of it has the selection part?